Hello, everyone. Oh, that's the way to command an audience, isn't it? I spoke and you all stopped speaking. Thank you very much. Hi, my name's Barbara Hayes, Chief Executive at the Authors Licensing and Collecting Society. And I'd like to welcome you to, I can't believe it, but it's our 47th annual general meeting here at the De Vere Grand Connaught Rooms in London, which I hope you'll agree is a really lovely venue. I'd also like to give a big welcome to those attending online. Before we update you on the work we've carried out over the past year, we just need to let you know a few housekeeping rules. Most importantly, there is no fire alarm scheduled while we're here. So if the alarm does go off, please exit, and somebody is hopefully going to tell me the exit way. That way or that way. Oh, sorry, I feel like I'm on the aeroplane at this stage. So or look for anybody that's around the side of the rooms right now and follow them out. Also, could you please ensure your mobile phones are turned to silent? I've got mine here just to prove that I will put it on silent, otherwise it will go off. And it's now my pleasure to introduce you to the chair of ALCS, Lord Tim Clement-Jones.
Well, thank you very much indeed, Barbara. And I absolutely agree about the venue. It's been an immense honour to be appointed chair of this incredible organisation and to be given the opportunity to champion writers and their interests. And I've deeply enjoyed working alongside our very talented board and executive, as well as meeting many of our staff and members. And it's great to see so many of you here today. Since joining, it's been very clear to me how focused and dedicated this organisation is and how everyone contributes to its mission with professionalism and care. And I've been really struck by the warmth of the welcome I've received and by the shared commitment across ALCS to ensure writers are paid fairly for the use of their work. And I think that is our common goal. We've talked about AI extensively this year, and for good reason. And I know that is an issue that concerns many of our members. Creators are rightly concerned about the unauthorized use of works by AI companies and the high-profile disclosures of the use of pirate copies of works by Meta and Anthropic, to name but two. And that's underscored the sense of impunity in which elements of the tech sector have approached the rights of authors. Since its founding in 1977, ALCS has been guided by the principle of no use without payment, and we strongly believe that this remains as pertinent as ever in the age of AI as new technologies and behaviors bring about novel uses of our members' works. Rest assured, ALCS will be strongly advocating for your interests, and you'll shortly be hearing from Barbara about how we intend to ensure authors have the opportunity to be paid fairly for such uses. This past month, we've been holding an election for two new board members, and the results of that election will be announced shortly. Both posts had terrific candidates. So I'm sure that those elected will prove huge assets to the board. And I would also, at this point, like to pay a very big tribute to our two outgoing board members, Maggie Gee and James McConaughey, who are stepping down after completing their terms. Please do take a bow, James and Maggie. Both have made outstanding contributions to this organisation over the years, and it's been a real privilege to work alongside them, although only too briefly. I'll now hand over to Barbara, who is going to talk you through some of the work we've been undertaking in the past year. Barbara, over to you.
Thank you, Tim. And on behalf of everyone at ALCS, I'd like to thank you for your dedication to creators and the creative industries and the support and the work for the work of ALCS and for your knowledge and guidance. These past 12 months, ALCS has continued to make good progress. We have once again broken records with our distribution payments. During the last financial year, we paid more money to more members than ever before, paying over £47 million to more than 112,000 members. I'd like to pay tribute to the ALCS staff, who work tirelessly to ensure that the money is collected and distributed to our members efficiently and, crucially, securely. It's always a huge undertaking, and it takes an incredible amount of dedication and teamwork to make this a reality for you. As well as fantastic staff, ALCS also needs appropriate systems and infrastructure to keep up with the impressive output of you, our members, as well as the new and diverse ways that your works are being used. That is why we have been engaging on a major redevelopment. Sorry, I haven't even had any wine yet and I can't get the words out, and upgrade of our internal systems. This has been a substantial project and one that has required a significant investment in both time and resources, but is one we believe is absolutely necessary to ensure we are able to operate in the manner that our members expect of us, both now and obviously in the future. We're delighted that the first module of the new system has now gone live, and we are already reaping real benefits in efficiency from this progress. Of course, safeguarding your data remains one of our top priorities as we navigate the journey together. And it's more important than ever, and that means making our systems stronger and more resilient. But technology alone isn't enough. The truth is, an organisation is only as secure as its people, and our greatest defence is a well-informed, proactive team. Our staff take part in regular cybersecurity training and security awareness that has been built directly into their performance reviews. But we can't do this alone. We also need you to work with us by staying alert to potential risks and keeping your accounts secure. Going forward, we'll be rolling out further necessary security measures to strengthen our defences and we'll make sure to keep you fully informed every step of the way. As well as our primary focus of paying our members for uses of their work, as Tim said earlier, we also exist to champion authors and advocate for your interests. Tim's already discussed some of the work around the issue of AI, but we've also seen progress in a number of other areas. One area in particular that I'd like to draw your attention to is a long-standing campaign for an appointment of a freelancer commissioner to represent the interests of creative freelancers. In June, this became a reality as the Department for Digital, Culture, Media and Sport announced the appointment of a freelancer champion. Slightly different name, but we won't quibble. We got there in the end. To keep up the momentum, we're now participating in the government's working group on self-employed creators to help shape this role and, in Tim's own words, to make sure that it has teeth. Copyright sits at the very heart of the creative industries. It gives creators the power to control how their works are used and ensure they can benefit from the value it generates. Yet, despite its importance, copyright is often misunderstood, even by those it's designed to protect. That's why raising awareness, both here in the UK and internationally, remains one of our key priorities. This past year, we've worked with a number of partners to inform and educate young people on copyright. We're proud sponsors of the Carnegie Awards, the Clipper Poetry Award, First Story, National Poetry Day, and the National Reading Champions Quiz. Through these partnerships, we're able to reach a wide and engaged audience to ensure the next generation of readers and writers understand the importance of copyright. ALCS is also committed to supporting social and cultural initiatives that benefit authors' organisations. Over the last year, we were delighted to support a wide variety of programmes, such as festivals celebrating literary translation, wellbeing activities for authors, and educational resources. At ALCS, we're proud of our team, the people who keep everything moving and make what we do possible. They work across so many different areas, all with one shared purpose: and that is supporting writers. With that in mind, I'd love to share a short film that gives you a glimpse behind the scenes and celebrates some of the fabulous work we've been doing together over the past year. And I'm hoping some techie person is going to press the button.
This past year is once again hugely significant for authors and very busy for everyone at ALCS. Artificial intelligence continues to be a major focus for the organisation. In June 2024, we launched our member survey on AI, which received an incredible 13,000 responses. This valuable feedback informed our next steps. We produced a report on results, which we launched to parliamentarians and industry figures at the All-Party Writers Group Winter Reception in December. At the beginning of 2025, we joined our partners in the creative sector in the Make It Fair campaign, encouraging members to fill in the government's consultation on AI and copyright, to write to their local MP through our letter writing service, Writers Write. We produced our own submission to the consultation, calling for transparency around the use of works, rejection of the proposed opt-out model. Away from AI, we've continued to campaign for additional revenue streams for authors, such as the introduction of the Smart Fund, a levy on digital devices to remunerate creators. And in 2024, we launched Scoop, a new initiative to pay freelance journalists for uses of their work. We've recently seen campaign successes. In May, the government announced it will not proceed with proposed changes to copyright exhaustion law, which would have been catastrophic for authors. At the time, we voiced our opposition with members through our Save Our Books campaign. And in June, we announced the imminent appointment of a freelance champion, marking a success for our Fix It for Freelancers campaign. Our biggest focus, of course, is paying our members for secondary uses of their works. We continue to break records, collecting £45.2 million and paying out more money to more members than ever before, with 112,662 members receiving their share of a record £47.5 million. Our members seem happy with the service we provide. 4,951 members over the past year scored 4.8 out of 5 from our member satisfaction survey. We'll keep working hard to provide the best service possible to our members. We haven't just been stuck at our desks all year. We've also been out and about, meeting members and holding events like the All-Party Writers Group Summer Reception, where parliamentarians and industry figures discuss the latest issues affecting writers. The ALCS Annual Awards took place as a standalone event for the third year, recognizing and celebrating education, creativity, and literacy through our Educational Writers Award, Frendell Award, and V.S. Pritchett Short Story Prize. This summer, we held 2 member receptions in York and Edinburgh, alongside focus groups to learn more about our members' needs and how we can improve our services. These events were a fantastic opportunity to connect with members face to face, as well as hear their valuable feedback. Delighted to receive such a warm response. Look forward to meeting more of our members up and down the country at future events.
As ever, copyright education has been a priority for us, and we've continued to support fantastic causes that reach young people across the country, raising awareness of the crucial role that copyright plays in our economy and culture. We engage students with quizzes on copyright and produce new content to educate young people. We supported the National Literacy Trust's Reading Champions quiz for another year, which saw fantastic engagement from parliamentarians who supported participating schools in their constituency. Through our Cultural Support and Development Fund, Skin helped to support the UK's creative industries by funding a variety of projects and initiatives up and down the country. We support authors and their rights on an international level too. ALCS provides administrative support to the International Authors Forum, which campaigns for authors worldwide. The IAF has established new partnerships, launched its AI principles, and appointed Kevin Fitzgerald, previously at the United Nations World Intellectual Property Organization, as its General Secretary. The IAF team were excited to participate at the World Intellectual Property Organization's Copyright Committee at the UN, submitting statements on issues such as public lending rights and AI. The coming year once again promises profound challenges as well as opportunities for writers. Continue striving to ensure the rights and livelihoods of our members are protected.
Thank you very much. ALCS is guided in everything we do by our purpose, which is to support, champion, and fight for authors. We have a set of values that we work by and that feed into everything that we do and strive for. As an organisation, we're bold. We need to be bold to effectively fight for your rights. We take huge pride in our work and in the way that we work for you, our members. And our work must always have an impact, a positive impact on you in the income you receive from us, but also in the impact in the way that we amplify the collective voice of writers. We have a strategic plan which sets out 5 priorities for us as an organisation. We'll support our members' ability to write by increasing their income. We'll educate as many people as possible and promote the respect of copyright. We'll make the complex easy through technology, data, and our committed workforce. We'll celebrate the value writers bring to our world, fight for their rights, and give them a powerful collective voice. And we will always aim to operate in an ethical and environmentally conscious way. And as I say that, I'm very clear that I am reading a script off of paper. Many apologies. The irony, eh? The film you've just seen shows the work that we've been doing in a number of these areas. But there are a few priorities from our strategic plan that I'd like to cover today in a little more detail. The first one being we'll support our members' ability to write by increasing their income. Now, AI isn't going away, sadly. We all know that, and we're watching governments, whether in the US, the EU, or here at home, lean towards policies that put the priorities of tech companies ahead of the rights of the people who actually create the work that's used. Now, that's a real problem, and we've not been shy of saying so. Across the creative industries, there's a clear and united view. Licensing beats blunt policy interventions every time. Loosening copyright rules doesn't solve anything. Giving creators a route to license their works does. It's practical, it's fair, and it keeps control where it belongs, with you, the author. You told us the same thing in last year's AI survey that I'm sure many of you completed. You wanted us to act. You wanted an option. And we've taken that need for you to have genuine choice seriously. Over the past 2 years, we've been working closely with our partners at the Copyright Licensing Agency and Publishers Licensing Services on exactly that, building transparent collective licensing options based on agreement between authors and publishers. The Copyright Licensing Agency has already launched its Workplace AI license, which is an extension to its current licenses to businesses, enabling licensees to carry out activities such as summarizing works via AI, though this does not include using content to train the underlying models. We've been working with the Copyright Licensing Agency on a generative AI license. Like most CLA licensing schemes, the focus will be on professional, published content, business, academic, and similar categories, where licensing is already well understood and widely used. It's a sensible starting point as we seek to test and learn with this new type of license. This is all about future uses, giving creators a fair framework as AI develops. Compensation for past uses, though, is a different matter, one wrapped up in ongoing litigation. We're staying closely connected with colleagues at the US Authors Guild as those lawsuits progress, because the outcome there could significantly shape the future landscape here. This is a complicated space with many players, many interests, and not all of them are aligned. But one thing doesn't change. ALCS is here for one purpose: protecting authors' rights and making sure you are fairly paid for the use of your work. That remains our anchor. You'll hear more from us in the new year, including outreach to members working in professional and academic fields about including their work in these new licensing opportunities. There's a lot to do, but we're moving forward in consultation with the writing community, transparently, and always with your interests at the centre. The second area I'd like to cover is about making the complex easy through technology, data, and our committed workforce. As the scale and complexity of our operations continue to expand, it is absolutely essential that we harness the powers of new technologies and continuously strive to improve the way we work. In today's environment, standing still, as you know, means falling behind. I've already discussed the significant upgrades to our internal systems that we have begun to roll out to our teams, which will both increase efficiencies and ensure our systems remain resilient in the years ahead. Looking to the future, it is vital that our staff have access to emerging workplace technologies like AI, but that they use them in an ethical and secure manner. Using AI does have a number of potential benefits for our business, along with some limitations. And so it's important that our staff are empowered to use it in an appropriate and effective way. To this end, we've developed an AI usage policy that all staff are required to adhere to. This includes maintaining the highest standard of data protection, independently verifying any outputs of AI, and being transparent around its use. We also want to assure you that a human will always be on hand to assist you with any queries. Work in this area is ongoing, and we include staff training to ensure utilising these new technologies in a responsible and ethical way is consistent with our values. The third area I'd like to cover is we will always aim to operate in an ethical and environmentally conscious way. It's vitally important to us that we operate in a way that's ethical, transparent, and sustainable. That's why, over the past year, we conducted a materiality assessment to identify the most significant environmental, social, and governance issues relevant to our organisation and inform us where we should be focusing our attention. The 6 areas identified by the assessment were governance, compliance and ethics, intellectual property, data security and innovation, financial performance, stakeholder engagement and relationships, corporate culture, talent management and employment practices, and environmental management, disclosure and reporting. As a result of the assessment, we have for the first time published a sustainability report, which is available on our website. We're committed to embedding sustainability in all of our decisions, and we will be reporting on our progress on a regular basis. But of course, the reason we exist is to collect and pay monies to our members. I would like to end my update by returning to the record £47.5 million we paid out this year, which is a remarkable achievement. And I would like to once again thank everyone at ALCS who helped make this possible. Thank you very much for your attention. And now I'll hand back to the chair.
Thank you very much indeed, Barbara, for that absolutely excellent update. We're now going to move on to the formal section of the annual general meeting. Thank you to all the members who voted already online. We've received a total of 6,441 votes from members, which you will see shown on the screen while we go through the resolutions. So first of all, I'd like to introduce agenda item number 1, to receive and adopt the Board of Directors report and accounts for the year 1st of April 2024 to 31st March 2025. And so I'd like to ask Chief Financial Officer Mark Bispam to speak. Mark.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. It is my role to give you an overview of the financial results of the company for the year to the 31st of March 2025. Hopefully, you will already have had sight of the detail of the Directors' report and accounts that are included in the annual report and available on the ALCS website. So I intend just to run through a brief summary of the main highlights of the year. Although licence income marginally decreased by less than 1%, this was still our second highest ever total at 45.2 million. We collected money from 37 different countries, from Colombia to New Zealand, from Norway to Australia. And we distributed, as you may have heard us mention a couple of times, a record £47.5 million to our members, 6% more than last year, and as I say, our highest amount ever. This means we once again collected and distributed more than £1 million for each member of staff at ALCS, which I think is a great achievement. Since ALCS started, we have now collected and distributed almost £750 million of secondary royalty income to authors and their beneficiaries, which without ALCS would not have existed. Investment income at just under £2 million was down this year, but still covered over a third of our cost base. We use this income to defray our expenses and keep commission rates as low as possible for the benefit of our existing members. At the end of March, the fair market value of our portfolio was £2 million more than the cost. The board and Finance and Audit Committee regularly monitor this portfolio and review the performance of all of our investment managers. This year, we made an operating surplus, excluding the fair value movement on investments, of £1,880,896, which the board has decided to return to members as a commission refund in March 2026. Although the headline commission rate was maintained at 10%, this reduces the effective commission rate to just 6%. So we're remarkably good value. If we now look at the trend of results over the last 15 years, the increases in the key figures clearly show the progress we have made over that period. License income has increased by 50% and royalties paid by 79%. Despite all the major systems improvements we have made and continue to make, and our membership more than doubling during that time, costs have been kept under control, rising by 82%, but indeed costs per member have fallen by 10%. Moving on now to the statement of financial position, this shows the company's assets and liabilities as at the 31st of March 2025. Our total assets decreased by 6.3% to 47.8 million. The main elements of this are our investments and cash holdings. All our investments are made using a medium-term to long-term horizon with a view to maintaining the value of our assets in real terms and delivering an income which, as I mentioned earlier, is used to keep commission rates down. Our creditors also decreased during the year to 42.4 million, the vast majority of which is money due to writers, which is yet to be distributed. The unrealised surplus on our investments decreased this year, meaning our total reserves stand at 5.5 million at year end. I think and hope you will agree that once again we have an excellent set of results, and I therefore commend these accounts to you, the members. Thank you for your time.
Mark, thank you very much, and thank you for everything that you do at ALCS. It's very much appreciated. Questions at all to Mark on the finances? Yes, lady over there. Oh, there's a microphone on its way.
Just so I understand correctly, what's your commission?
10%. We take a headline 10% from people, and then at the end of each year, depending on whether
Which is your commission?
Depending on whether we make a surplus or a deficit, we refund that surplus to our members the following year. So in effect, our headline commission was 10%, but after the commission refund, which will go back to all members who paid and received money last year, it reduces it to 6%.
You have a 6% commission, is that correct?
That's effectively the rate of commission last year, yes.
6%.
6%, yes.
And what about your expenses, 81% or something?
Expenses have risen across the last 15 years by 82%.
By 82%?
The total cost base, yes.
Your expenses have risen by 82%?
Yes.
And my third question is, I don't know, I'm sorry, the chairman's name.
It's on this card here, Tim Clement Jones.
So can you spell it out? I can't see it.
Just call me Tim.
Sorry?
Just call me Tim.
Whatever. The fact is, you're saying that we all have it so good. we don't have it so good. We're not doing well. Writers are getting less than £10,000 a year, the average writer. Therefore, what you should be doing through the inter-parliamentary group is already getting us a new writer's contract, which sets advances higher and advances in addition, not set against royalties, and royalties should be higher. I don't know who who's the head of the inter-parliamentary writers group, but some of us were supposed to be advised and weren't. So you don't want to make this a small club.
Is there anything else that you want to answer on that before you're absolutely right, but there are several different elements to this: the Writers' Guild, Society of Authors, the parliamentarians on the various all-party groups. And, we've all got the same intention. We want to support writers. But of course, as you know, if you're a writer yourself, the publishers have their own views, so there's no pushover. So that's exactly why we're doing what we're doing on AI, which Barbara has described. Yes, you don't have the mic anymore, I'm afraid.
Salespeople get, in addition to salaries, commissions. Writers have to set in advance, if you're lucky enough to get one, against royalties, against commissions. This is a tremendous inequality and should have been resolved decades ago, but it's not even now. You're just letting it go.
That's true, but then, and I entirely agree with you, but that is not only ALCS that can influence the market. That, it is a market. At front, yes.
Hello. The figures for last year, 24 to 25, are very impressive. And as an ALCS member for the past 30 years, I'm very grateful for all you've done for my pocket. The figures, when I got the email in September with my latest statement, I was a bit dismayed. I thought, how little? It was a 40th of the amount I got in March. It was the lowest payment I have ever had in all the years I've been paid royalties by ALCS. And every single writer I know, in whatever form, whether they're TV and audio drama writers like me, whether they're book writers, whether everyone I knew and everyone I talked to was feeling the same. It's like, how little? So I'd like an explanation of that if you can give it. Also, and it's kind of a related question, the ALCS does have millions of pounds of undistributed money that it can't distribute because they don't have an adequate record of anyone to distribute it to. In March this year, I think some of the undistributed money was distributed to the members you have. Is this going to happen again? Thank you.
Thank you. Mark.
So I think in terms of your September distribution, it's probably best to take that online with one of our distribution team later on. So I'll ask one of those people to come and talk to you specifically. I mean, what I can say is that the data that comes in is what defines what we distribute. So, unfortunately, if your works haven't been picked up during that time, then it would go down inevitably. In terms of the undistributable income, or the writers' fund as we call it, we distribute 95% of what we collect within 3 years, and there's a set of rules that cover that distribution. So some can be distributed immediately, some can't be distributed for up to 3 years. And then if it falls beyond that, then we seek to distribute it to everybody in what we call non-title specific. But the vast majority of money that we hold is for a specified writer for a specified work who doesn't as yet happen to be a member of ALCS. And to that extent, we have an author research team who, if you've ever seen air hunters on TV, they hunt you down and say, we're from ALCS and we've got money. And I'm sure there's people sat in the audience today who have been found via that method. And so we're proactively seeking to bring that down as far as we can. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Mark. Another question? Over there. Yes. Have we got the mic? Great.
Hello. I want to ask a question about your support for freelancers. And you mentioned something called Scoop, I think, at the beginning of your talk. I was told when I queried this previously that you don't include royalties to journalists for articles in national papers, that you only include academic and scientific journals, whatever. So can you explain what progress you're making on supporting the wider freelance community in terms of writers who have their articles published in national papers?
Thank you very much, Barbara.
I'm actually going to look at our head of rights and licensing here because he's been looking at. Oh, hang on.
That should be working.
Okay. I'm going to hand over to our head of rights and licensing, who's been speaking to all of the various interested parties on any licensing that we are looking at, thinking of, on the radar, you know, blue sky thinking, so that we make sure that we work in collaboration with others. So I'm going to let him have let you update you on Scoop.
And that is Richard Coombs. Richard.
Thanks, Tim. So I didn't see where the question was, so let's make sure I'm directing myself.
Over there.
So you're right. ALCS doesn't currently collect any money from articles in newspapers, and that's a historic position. The money we collect currently comes from the Copyright Licensing Agency for freelance articles in magazines. When CLA was established, it was a joint model with publishers and authors and visual artists all in the same organization. Newspapers is run on a different basis. When that was established, it was the Newspaper Licensing Agency, which is essentially run entirely by and for newspaper publishers. Over the years, they had something called their Special Contributor Scheme, which was theoretically designed to provide a pot of money that would be paid to freelance contributors to newspapers. I've spoken to enough colleagues in the NUJ over the years to know that that never really worked and didn't find its way to the individuals. That's why we opened this conversation with the NUJ about this project we've called Scoop. It strikes all of us, I think, that whereas that was the past position for the sort of analog newspapers, we're seeing another moment like that with AI. And a lot of the large deals that have been done with the big AI companies has been for news content because of its quick turnover and relevancy. So we work with the NUJ to set up Scoop. They've recently done a survey of their members, which told us, perhaps depressingly, unsurprisingly, that of the current deals that have been done with AI companies by large newspaper brands, none of that money is finding its way down to freelance journalists. That's the problem we're trying to solve with Scoop. And it may be that ultimately it needs to be legislative, but at the moment, by organising with the NUJ, by doing the research and doing the surveys, I think we can present the problem. Ultimately, I think the solution, as Barbara and Tim have alluded to, is a more extensive licensing network. But without replicating what happened in the past with the NLA, we'd want something more like CLA so that freelance journalists are equally part of the governance and setup of the licensing. And of course, crucially, actually receiving the remuneration in a transparent way, which has clearly been a deficit for these past years.
Thank you, Richard. Did you have a supplementary at all? No.
No. Well,
Very good.
Just that there are a lot of writers who aren't actually members of the NUJ.
Yes.
So that's just a small subset.
Yep.
But I mean, you should be working on behalf of writers in general.
You're absolutely right. And we're working very closely with the NUJ. I think we had the hand there first, and then I'll come to that lady over there. Gentleman here, that's it.
Hello, my name's Yuri Gabriel. I was the chairman of this organization a million years ago. I repeat the question that I've raised at previous AGMs. What new sources of income have we got? Because all the money, or the bulk of the money, comes from what my generation created. PLR, photocopying. What new sources have been created? There's been a very, very long time when nobody seems to have done anything other than administer existing income sources.
Thank you very much, Yuri, and very good to see you here at this AGM. Is that another one for Richard, Barbara, or would you?
I'm happy to just reflect on my previous presentation. We have been working on AI licensing, both workplace AI licensing and generative AI licensing. So we are working on new forms of income. We are making the most of a directive from Europe that lets us collect a wider variety of uses. So we're working with different countries across Europe, trying to expand our agreements. Some of that is to do with private copying. Some of it could be to do with public performance. So we are definitely out there looking for new sources of revenues coming in. And we do that by virtue of the mandate that we have from you members.
We have the internet.
Take the mic.
Internet for a very long time.
Oh,
Why?
Yuri, could you take
Sorry.
the... Thank you.
We have the internet. We've had the internet for a very long time. Why hasn't ALCS, which now has over 100,000, 120,000 members, why hasn't it got other creative industries combined and make an assault on the general use by the internet of copyright material? You achieve things by combining. I think at the moment we are very good at administrating, but we're not good at creating.
I'm going to let our head of rights and licensing, Richard Coons, again answer this one, because he's knee deep in all the business development and licensing issues.
Well, I think it's certainly true, Yuri, that the original sources like PLR and photocopying have proved remarkably resilient, but we have built on that licensing over in conjunction with CLA, which is a joint venture, obviously, with the publishers and visual artists. So websites were brought into the publishing license there as well. And as Barbara said, we've had some long-standing projects to try and create new collective licensing systems. It's difficult. Barbara mentioned the mandate we have. We have 120,000 members, but we don't have all of their rights. We've got a subset of their rights in effect that sit below the sort of primary sales market. But in terms of the internet more broadly, CLA licensing has applied to websites for a number of years. And the Educational Recording Agency, we get significant funds for TV and film. That applies now to BBC iPlayer. Barbara mentioned our European sources. We're getting revenue coming in now for streaming. This isn't necessarily always profit. If you think about the overall balance of broadcast versus streaming, our broadcast monies are probably ticking down a little bit. As the streaming ticks up, it just reflects how we're all changing our viewing patterns. But I think to your broader point, Yuri, about collective action, you're 100% right on that. There's no point ALCS saying, on behalf of the scriptwriter, we demand this happens to this film or TV program. You actually need every party to be in that. That's why we led the way in setting up something called AVLA, which, as you might have guessed, is the Audiovisual Licensing Alliance. So bringing back that same collegiate model that we had with CLA to all partners in audiovisual productions, film and TV. It's been running now for a year. We've had license revenues. Unfortunately, we've had to spend a lot of it on legal work, because the first thing you hit when you try and launch a new license is strong resistance from the market who doesn't want to pay it. And obviously the reason we do this isn't for profit, it's for all of you to make sure that you're getting a fair crack of the whip. So you can look at AVLA online and see where that's got to. And I'm very much hoping that standing up here next year, we can talk about first payments and distributions from that new source as well. as Barbara said, we've been looking at AI cautiously, carefully. I think there's probably a major roadblock in the way of significant sums coming through to writers through collective licensing at the moment. That's twofold. One is the attitude of governments around the world, who, as Barbara said, seem very much, I'd say, biased towards giving the tech companies a clear run at all of your content, as opposed to working out how there can be something fairer to make sure that everyone gets paid. I think the second issue there is the market is looking at the litigation that's happening. It's very early days with that. We've only had a couple of significant first decisions in the States and one in the UK. At the moment, it's not going the way of the rights holders, I have to say, but these are early decisions, and there is a definite resoluteness, I think, to pursue this all the way to the European Court, to the Supreme Court, to make sure that there isn't a broad exception to allow these tech companies to train on all material, and that we will get licensing embedded for that. But that will be an uphill struggle, but obviously one that we're going to take on your behalf.
Thanks very much, Richard. And Yuri, I very much hope that you'll take it that we look for new opportunities and are looking for new opportunities on a very constant basis. I had a lady over there and I've got a lady in front. So let's take the lady over there.
I am an academic writer, and the thing that has been most important and most stressful in a way for me has been the royalty income from all the academic books that I publish, and there's lots, has shot down. So I do understand people saying it looks as if you're getting less money in. On the other hand, ALCS has become hugely important because people's behavior has changed. Academic students and academics who used to buy my books, they don't bother to buy anymore. They just Xerox one chapter or two chapters. If it's for individual use, they're allowed to do it. And I'm getting an increasingly rising income from ALCS because the market for me has changed from royalties for book sales to copying, mostly by academics. To some extent, you're going far wider than just Britain and America. And so that's why the income is increasing. The habit is all over the world because of just access to technology, really, not really the internet. And because the world changes, ALCS has become important in a way that I couldn't have originally have even expected or imagined it. So I just wanted to say thank you for your work, because it's more important by the day. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I won't ask the panel to comment, but we thank you for your comment. There's a lady at the back who's been waiting some time, and then I'll come to the lady at the front and then the gentleman there. The lady at the back there.
Oh, hello. My name is Carol Lee, and I'm a life member of the NUJ and also sat on the ALCS board for 2 terms, which I was very happy to do. What I'd like to do is make something clear that underwrites all of this and answers the question the gentleman who was talking about journalism. It is absolutely the case that publishers 25, 30 years ago started grabbing rights. And we then at the NUJ initially formed a committee which asked members never to sign away their copyright. What then happened is that companies sent out letters, and we have some of them, which said, unless you agree to our copyright terms, we have instructed commissioning editors not to accept work for you in future. So I think that what matters here, I'm sorry to think about the Chancellor yesterday, but we all have to do our bit. And in terms of us as writers, we have to be in touch with our trade unions, with the NUJ, the Society of Authors, and after all, ALCS is not a trade union, it's a collecting society, in terms of preserving our copyrights and making sure that now, especially years on, we don't sign those contracts because there's a body of work which says that we shouldn't do that. It's not ALCS's job to vet contracts, by the way, as the lady there maybe thought. that is the job of the Society of Authors and the Writers' Organisations. So that was my contribution, really. We all need to hold on to our copyrights.
Thank you very much. Good message. Thank you. Lady at the front.
Coming.
Thank you. My name's Anne Thwaite. I'm a biographer, and I've just had a very unhappy experience of discovering that online a new book that's just come out has the same title as one of mine. And I wondered whether the copyright in title was something that ALCS has ever looked into.
Thank you. I doubt it, but no, I've got a shake of the head.
And the book in
our head of
question-
licensing, our deputy chief executive.
A book that came out in 2020 has been, the same title has been used, one that's just come out in 25.
I think that's the sort of thing that the lady at the back was talking about, the Society of Authors and the Writers Guild. That's something I think for them too, actually. Now, let me look around the room. There's a gentleman there, yes. And then I've got a couple of hands at the back.
Yeah, like the lady over there who spoke earlier, I'm an academic author. I don't think my work is being photocopied so much now as being downloaded. And that's a global phenomenon. And I happen to know that the greatest number of downloads I get take place in China. You mentioned reaching out to the United States and Europe. Do you have any interaction with Asia, and do you have a policy on that?
For China, we I think as was shown on the video, we are also part of an organisation called the International Authors Forum, and I know that the Secretary General there has been out with the Secretary General of the World Intellectual Property Organization to China, trying to promote copyright and the importance of copyright, not just in China, but across the world. A little bit like there are some other large countries that use a lot of copyrighted work without fear. Well, I guess also a bit like the tech companies. So there is a building that respect, and I think that's a slow and arduous job, but the World Intellectual Property Organization is definitely on that, and we are with regards to the support we give to the International Authors Forum, of which we're part of one of the members, and I happen to be the treasurer for that as well. So, so I can assure you the conversations are going on, but if I were you, I wouldn't be holding my breath that anything is going to be happening imminently. And I think with a lot of the disruption in the world, I think that's something that we can but keep an eye on. And I wish that there was more that we could do, but we are definitely sending people and messages to speak in these countries.
Thanks, Barbara.
Can I just have a come back on that?
Yeah.
There is an organization in Hong Kong which is very much like the ALCS. Do you have any interaction with them? It's called the Hong Kong Authors and Reprographics.
That's Singapore.
CLA.
No, through the CLA. Yeah, we have a bilateral agreement through the CLA with Hong Kong.
Yeah, because, you know, they're now a part of China, so that might be one way that you could engage with mainland China.
Could be, and there is a move towards more IP protection in China, but it's just extremely slow because they're producing more of their own homegrown IP, which gives them a greater incentive to protect IP nationally under their laws. But it's still agonizingly slow. I've got a couple of hands at the back there. Two ladies. There we are. Yeah.
Given that
stand up, then we can. Yes, that's.
Given that it's been emphasized a lot that the world has been changing and AI has a major role, and that you've been trying to deal with this momentous revolutionary change in some ways. Do you agree that this can be done only really at governmental levels? And if so, could you, maybe in alliance with other writers' organization lobby at a governmental level for the change, for a successful change, with a focus on AI and how writers are colonized by AI and technical companies. This is question one. Question two is Barbara mentioned that you are trying to collect income for writers whose work is performed. Could you elaborate on that? For example, if my text is set to music and performed in New York, and I'm not even told about it, can you collect anything after that? Thank you.
No.
You want to mention the second question first, and I'll come to the first.
Yeah, I mean, we'll collect monies from the organisations that we have agreements from. I don't know that we would be knowledgeable about some text that's put on. I mean, you could say something like TikTok or something like that. We're not in that area as yet. There are some of our CMO, collective management organisation partners who license in these areas. We're not one of them, but if we have a bilateral agreement with them, we would collect. Whether we would actually get the data for that is a whole other ball game. So I would say that again, it's an area that trying to track that kind of usage would be quite a challenge. Going back to the AI question and just making sure that I understood exactly what you were saying there. So we are speaking with the government. In fact, we're on a working group looking at the licensing for generative AI and having discussions with the various departments there. And I'm pleased to say that Richard will be representing ALCS on those working groups. We don't want the government to come out and say, actually, this is all too difficult. We'll therefore make an exception and the tech bros can use your works for nothing. We want to avoid that at all costs. There was definitely a leaning towards that by the government, who made the mistake of saying that that would be their preference. And I think it was an absolutely fantastic job from the creative industries themselves on the Make It Fair campaign. I don't know whether you all remember the day that every newspaper had a Make It Fair cover on the front of it, and it certainly made the governments sit up and listen. And I'm sure, Tim, you might have something to say on that, but it definitely made them take a step back and realise that there is a wide number of people involved in the creative industries that would not want to lose their livelihoods from this, and the government shouldn't just be giving your work away for nothing. And that's one of the reasons why we have been working with the Copyright Licensing Agency, trying to create very cautiously and in consultation with the unions and agents, etc., a generative AI license for text only. And that will be on a test and learn basis, as we said earlier. So we are doing a lot of work there. I have to say, we have a great team around us looking out for authors on here. Richard's done a fabulous job around here, making sure that we get the best deal for writers. But it will be better, in our opinion, to be able to prove that we have a licensing regime that would negate the need for having an exception for your work that would allow the AI companies to just come in and take it for nothing. And to a certain extent, that's basically what they've got in Europe, and something that we don't want to be replicating in this country. So we are looking at what's going on in the US. We are looking at what's going on in Europe. We're looking at what we don't like about this. And for my sins, I also happen to chair an organisation in Brussels called the Society of Audiovisual Authors. And we are all over the EU AI Act. And I think an awful lot of collective management organisations in Europe have opted themselves out of any of the code of practice, and basically there will be little works of European writers and audiovisual script writers in any AI LLMs going forward, the language models.
Thank you very much, Barbara. And just to say, on the parliamentary front, I am lucky enough to have two hats. So I do wear a hat as a parliamentarian, but rest assured, the pressure on government from a number of us in both houses is considerable. We had record what's called ping pong between the two houses on a bill that went through in July, trying to get resolution of the transparency issue. We didn't quite succeed in getting what we wanted in the data use and access bill, but government are very well aware of the interest and that they've got to get a solution. They've got four working parties, which I think Richard and Barbara have explained, and the government have set up engagement with parliamentarians in each house to review the progress being made on discussions with the creative industries and the tech industries. And, you know, they've got to make a statement in December to Parliament. They've got to come up with solutions by March. So there is a timetable. And we don't quite know how it's going to end. But all I've said is that, you know, if the government think they had a hard time in July from the creative industries, from what they proposed then, they're going to get an even harder time if they don't get it right at the beginning of next year, because they promised us solutions, and we expect them to deliver those.
Just a quick follow-up. Are you employing creative writers on these committees? Because sometimes the way you put ideas makes a big difference.
Employing creative writers I mean, certainly the creative industries are represented on the working groups. Richard is, you know, representing ALCS. The CLA are represented. So there, you know, and that's the government's decision. They decide who go on the working groups. Those parliamentarians who are on the groups are parliamentarians with an interest in copyright, creative industries, IP, AI, and so on. So they're not necessarily writers, but many of them are. Or many of us are, I should say. So I hope that we're sufficiently representative as parliamentarians, but you know, obviously we can't replicate the experience of writers at the coalface, so to speak. There's another lady just by you, I think.
I'm just in the corner.
Yes. Oh, so sorry. I'll take you first, and then there's a second lady over there, I think.
That's very kind. Thank you. My name is Ruth Taplin, and I'm an author on intellectual property and copyright. And I think ALCS has been doing a wonderful job given the incredible complications of tech companies stealing copyright. But there's one part of this that I noticed both us in the UK, Europe, and everywhere else have been suffering from. And I don't know how ALCS could possibly deal with that. And that it's not the governments that are always the problem. It's the publishers. And I've seen so many cases where AI companies, big tech companies, have bought directly, paid lots of money to publishers and really big consequential publishers, mentioning no names. But, and what they've done basically is they have sold our rights, our copyrights and our rights to the tech companies, and we weren't even asked. There's a few exceptions to that. And I don't know how ALCS can deal with this, but it is an intractable problem at the moment. Australia has dealt with it, and Japan partly through their regulation, like the Anti-Monopoly Act in Japan and a new act that's just come out in Australia. But it's really very distressing. I mean, how can our publishers who we've published with, like in my case for 25 years, and my books are so well known, and the next thing I know, I have absolutely no say, and all my rights have been sold to a big tech company, and they can copy my work to the heart's content, which some of them have, and with impunity. And this is such an intractable problem. And I know in California, a few places they've been trying to deal with this, but it really is a problem. So I just wondered, to increase your burden even if it isn't enough, how we can make publishers accountable to us for our work. And it's not just me. I've seen my colleagues' royalties plummet to nothing. They're all up in arms. And then they don't even realize that everything has been sold by their own publisher to tech companies. And they've taken all the money and we've seen nothing.
I don't think we're going to be able to resolve that issue just here and now, but Barbara may have a quick comment to make on that.
I think my understanding with the publishers that I've spoken with is some take a different view to that. Some have taken a view that they own all the, or you've assigned them all the rights to allow them to do this, and others are actually contacting their authors and saying, would you assign your AI rights because they haven't got them? So there's a mixture, I think, going on here with regard to who your publisher is. There's some of the bigger publishers. Some of the smaller publishers will be coming in under the CLA license, and we hope that if we have enough people opt in, we will be able to get the writers or our members monies for this. So it does depend on your publisher. It's I know that the unions are very cognizant of this as well. So it's not something that's not being looked at or discussed. And the only thing that I can say is kind of watch this space, because I'm sure that a united action at some stage will happen. I'm just not sure in what form.
I hope so. And for the big publishers who really should know better.
Yes, it's shocking.
It's shocking. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, I think we really need to move on, because if you remember what the proposition was, it was you receive and adopt the Board of Directors report and accounts. So we've gone slightly off piste, but I hope that
spit first, I think there's the general.
I hope you've found it a useful Q&A session. So can I ask for a proposer and a seconder for that resolution to receive the Board of Directors report and accounts for the period 1st April 2024 to 31st March 2025. Have I got a proposer? Splendid. Thank you very much. And if you could give your names to our colleagues here, that would be brilliant. So thank you very much. What's the best way of getting names?
Alex Roney.
Yes, and
Carol Lee.
Carol Lee, thanks very much. Thank you very much indeed. We'll vote by a show of hands. All those, please remember, only ordinary and successor members of ALCS are entitled to vote. And if you've done so online already, please don't vote again. That's what it says here. I'm sure you wouldn't dream of doing such a thing. Can we have a show of hands for all those in favour? Thank you very much. And we've got the votes up on the screen, have we, from online? And yeah, so I've got those in favour online, hopefully. And any against? So I can call that NEM-CON. Excellent. Thank you very much. Any abstentions? No? Thank you very much indeed. And we've got the online figures, I think, which are shown, are they? I confirm that the ALCS 2024-25 Directors' Report and Accounts has been adopted. And now we've been quite extravagant with our time, haven't we? Agenda item 2, to receive and adopt the annual transparency review for 2024-2025. Hopefully you've all had an opportunity to look at the report. So before we vote, are there any questions on the report? Can I ask speakers to, again, watch out for the microphone as it comes round? Any questions on the transparency report? I've got a question at the back.
Brunella Longo. I'm a writer and publisher, author and self-publisher. I think it's pertinent to the transparency, but I would like to ask asked the question in the previous session, but probably is more pertinent in terms of transparency about the negotiations carried forward with the copyright licensing agency for the new AI license. I was wondering, are the big platforms like Kindle, Amazon, KDP, and these new aggregators, subscriber services like Substack, like Medium, are they on the table? Barbara is saying no. So in terms of transparency for now and the future, I would like to suggest to make an effort as an organization representative of the sector to make clear who is working with and for what, because Amazon is a strong actor in this world now. It's really, really important they come at the table. And the same is for a number of big platforms that it's true, they aggregate user-generated content, not produced for the purpose of making a profit, but we are all, you know, involved in this very blurred territory. So Facebook, LinkedIn, Substack, Medium, and above all, Amazon should come at the table and be transparent about their policies about authors' rights.
Thank you.
Yeah, we couldn't agree more. I think when we're talking about the generative AI license that we're creating here, I think we have to accept that we're creating the license. Currently, there's not a big knock at the door, let me have this license. I think a lot of the AI companies, especially the larger ones, are going to be waiting to see the outcome of litigation in the US to see what they can get away with there, because obviously a lot of the ingestion of the works happens in the US. So I think this is something that we'll keep an eye on. Most of the collective management organisations that I'm aware of in Europe have all written to the various large players here and got absolutely nothing in return. The European Union and their AI Act hasn't helped collective management organisations at all. But what I can say is we can sit here and think about all the reasons why they shouldn't and why it's difficult. I don't think something being difficult should stop us doing this. And I think once we've got that license in place, and perhaps it might be a little while when we see what the litigation goes on, we'll have to review the narrative and see how we can get them round the table. And I think that's something that the Copyright Licensing Agency definitely has on its radar. But it's small steps to start with. And certainly the targets to start with the generative AI license are going to be small learning models. That's what we're expecting, very niche market there. But hopefully build and they will come and it will grow. So that's what we'll be working on. But I think right now there's no incentive. And unless Tim is going to get up there and force the government to do something and make the tech bros come to the table, I think we'll be waiting a little while for that while the litigation plays out. Yeah, I hope that helps.
But it's a good point, because creating the climate in which they feel obliged to do things is part of what it's about. But it's that, you know, we're not there yet. And I think we've got a better Secretary of State in that area than we had before. But, you know, this is a government issue. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Brunella.
Good point. Thank you. Okay. Well, I'm going to ask for is that a question? Yeah. Another question.
Mary Black, I'm a new member, first meeting. Question is, what's the campaigning plan around this, and when do you want us to turn up for a photo op at Parliament? Because I think we need to be there. I don't think it's enough just having bureaucratic response. So I read the papers with interest, and I'm hoping there'll be a call for us to turn up, perhaps with photogenic puppies, but we can't just leave the Secretariat to do this.
Right. This isn't a bureaucratic operation, I can assure you.
Now we know who you are.
Exactly. Do you just want to say a little bit more on the plan going forward, Barbara? Or Richard, whichever views.
You're Mr. AI. I'll defer to you, Richard. If we can. Oh, sorry. It's right round the back. There is a plan, and it's pushing forward nicely. And I'll let Richard decide how much can actually be disclosed, so that just in case this ends up on TikTok or something like that, we're not giving away state secrets.
I bet you're all on TikTok.
I've never looked at it myself, but hey, over to Richard.
Thanks, Barbara. I'm not sure I'm ready to own the moniker Mr. AI just yet, but I think it's absolutely the right point. The thing that I think the government will really sit up and take notice of is what constituents have to say about this. And we saw with the Make It Fair campaign, I think generally the British public can see the unfairness in these large behemoth corporate entities just hoovering up people's work that they've spent years on and relying on for their income. So I think the moral argument was made well with the Make It Fair campaign, but all that really did, as Tim said, is push the government back from its original pretty terrible idea. I think probably in the first quarter of next year, we'll see what their new proposal is. I think they're faced with two equally unappetizing options. One is to disappoint the creative industries. The other is to disappoint the Trump administration. So we'll see how that goes. But I think timing-wise, certainly, when we have the next moment of mobilization, we will certainly want to reach out to members and make that all-important connection between copyright, which can seem quite a dry thing, and what we're actually talking about here, which is wholesale theft of people's livelihoods and things that they spent years creating. So we're absolutely with you. I think creating the sort of human story behind this is incredibly important.
But I should add that, seen from the parliamentary point of view, the combination of the various elements of the creative industries is a powerful combination. And they had to back off last time in July. And as Richard says, I mean, the Make It Fair campaign really did have an impact. But it's by sticking together and demonstrating that there are solutions to this. Licensing is obviously the key thing for us. But we have to demonstrate that there are solutions to this, and the big tech companies can't say it's all too difficult and decide to ignore all forms of copyright protection. So we're still in the very much in the argument and the debate, and we're going to have to step it up if the government doesn't do the right thing come, well, probably March now, I suspect. Yes, lady over there.
Suggestion. Can I make a suggestion? Could I suggest that possibly, which of course you can refuse, but could I make the suggestion that possibly you could actually write a format letter, very short, because it's, bullet points only, please, because no politician will read more than that, that we could all send it to us, something that we could actually send to our MPs to actually promote this fair campaign.
An excellent point, and that's something that we do on occasion when we need the help of our members. So do watch out for the call to action. Quite often that might be an individual email to yourself, or it might be in our newsletter, ALCS News. But we have a platform for that. We do put templates on there and ask our members to write to their MPs. So when you see that, if you could, we do mean business at that stage, and we do need your help.
But we obviously need some proposals to react to either positively or negatively. So we need to wait until we've actually got something coming. There's been a lot of contact by members with MPs in the meantime, which has been excellent. But to mount a campaign, you really need to have something to react to.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm going to have to keep moving on. But somebody who hasn't asked a question, gentleman at the back, lady at the back.
Thank you. My name is Dorothea McEwen. I write in English and in German, but I work in Ethiopia. In Ethiopia, every academic publishes in English. In your transparency report, I didn't see anything about writers from other countries who publish in English. If I publish a book in Ethiopia, I am told Ethiopia is not part of the universal licensing agreement, blah, blah, blah. If I do that with an article, I get the same answer. So I just wanted to ask, is there any understanding to include English writers in your licenses work?
English license.
Well, it would be through the Copyright Licensing Agency and whether they have a bilateral agreement with a collective management organisation in Ethiopia. So we collect money through the CLA. If there's any money coming in, it would be through them. So the only thing that we can do is alert the CLA to perhaps we could meet afterwards and I can get some more information and then I can speak to the Copyright Licensing Agency to see if there's any plans and then I can get back to you from there. The answer right at this moment is I don't know.
Last question over there, lady.
Hello, thank you. I'm a historian, but also have a policy background. And I was thinking it might be actually useful. Does the organization, have you considered bringing test cases? Because, you know, this is a new area in AI, and it might be useful to have like test class actions. I know, you know, we obviously don't want to be litigious for its own sake, but that might be very helpful, especially when we're talking about the development of new technology and combining it with protective legal frameworks to actually bring test cases, to actually grow the law, if you like, and grow protections. It's just a suggestion. Have you thought of that, class group action?
We speak with the Society of Authors on that, and I know that they have some thoughts and are developing some ways forward on this. And I know that that came up at their AGM last week. So we will be working with them and keeping our members up to date if there is any class actions. But I think that's as far. We're a collective management organisation, so we don't typically get involved in litigation, but we would do that in partnership with unions if we were to take it further. But I think it's a really good question. It's just a case of how it's taken forward. And I think test cases are always good, but obviously we're seeing quite a lot of that out in the US right now as well.
And the first question that the lawyer asks you is, do you have the copyright in order to take legal action in those circumstances? And there are, you know, primary rights, secondary rights, all of which are quite complicated. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to move on and I'm going to ask for a proposer and a seconder for the resolution to adopt the annual transparency report. Do I have a proposer? Another proposer? Thank you very much, sir.
Could I have names?
Simon Lewis.
Lovely.
And a seconder. Do I have a seconder? Gentleman there. Thank you very much.
Lovely. Thank you, John.
Okay, and then we will go on to have a show of hands for those in favour. Thank you very much. And those against? No, thank you very much. Any abstentions? One at the back.
Yeah.
Lady at the back. Thank you. And any abstentions? No, thanks very much. And I can confirm that we received the votes displayed on the screen, at least I hope they are. Yeah, fantastic. And so I can confirm that the annual transparency report has been adopted. And now I'd like to introduce agenda item 3, the really controversial one, to appoint Barnes Roth, Leytonstone House, Leytonstone, London, E11 IGA, 1GA as auditors of the company and to authorise the directors to fix their remuneration. We're required by our governance rules to change auditors after a period of 6 years. Therefore, our existing auditors, Moore Kingston Smith LLP, formerly Shipton's LLP, will be stepping down. We thank them for their exemplary services for the past 6 years. And the Finance and Audit Committee review the service quality of the auditors and the needs of the organisation, and their recommendation is the appointment of Barnes Roth as auditors. Are there any questions on the auditors? No. Thanks very much. And if I could ask for a proposer and a seconder for the resolution to appoint Barnes Roth as auditors of the company and to authorise the directors to fix their remuneration.
The gentleman is amazing.
Gentleman there. And the lady there at the front. Thank you very much indeed. Okay, so can we have a show of hands for those in favour? Thank you very much. And against? Everybody's in favour of Barnes Roth. That's great. Any abstentions? No, thank you very much. I can confirm that we received the following votes online on this item, hopefully on the screen. Thank you very much. I confirm the appointment of Barnes Roth as the auditors for ALCS. Moving on to agenda item 4, to consider and if thought appropriate, approve the recommendation of the Remuneration Committee regarding directors' fees for 2025-26. The Remuneration Committee of the Board has recommended that the remuneration paid for directors for 2025-26 should be increased by 2.6% to £11,346 per annum. Are there any questions on this agenda item? And actually, it's probably a good moment for the directors to stand up and wave to everybody. Would that be a good idea? We've got them all sitting in the front row for your delectation. There we are. Thank you very much. And I really want to thank the directors. They do a fantastic job. It's, there's quite a lot of responsibility attached to representing members, I may say. Thank you very much indeed. Any questions on this agenda item? No, thank you very much. Can I ask for a proposer and seconder for the resolution to consider and, if thought appropriate, approve the recommendations of the Remuneration Committee regarding directors' fees for 2025-2026? I've got a lady in the front and a lady at the back. Catherine Ray and a lady. Way. Very good. Thank you. Thank you very much. Those in favour? Thank you. Those against? Thank you very much. Any abstentions? One abstention. Thank you. We'll come and talk to you later. En masse. Can I also confirm that we received the following votes online on the item up on the screen, and I confirm that the directors' fees have been approved at the rate set for 2025-26. The next item is item agenda 5, item 5 on the agenda, to announce the names of the members elected to serve on the board of directors. And this is the big revelation today. The final item on the agenda is the announcement of the result of the ALCS board elections. Thank you to all the candidates who stood for the 2 vacancies. We had an excellent slate of candidates. And these, I think, are all shown behind me. But I'm absolutely delighted to announce that Melly Boozer and Timandra Harkness have been elected to the ALCS board. Yes. So, Melly and Timandra, thank you very much and huge congratulations. We had a round of applause, so I don't need to say that. Thank you very much. It was all spontaneous. Now, we're... sorry?
I said go to that one.
Yes.
We've run out of time. I'm sure the lunch is getting burned.
Yes. No, I think we had our questions. It says here, ask the audience what questions they've got, but I think you've had a pretty good go if I'm not mistaken. But do come and talk to us as individuals. You know, we love the contact, and we really do want you to talk to us over lunch. As we come to the end of this AGM, I'd like to thank our board. And I've asked all our board members to stand. I don't want to give them too much exercise. So I've already done that. And as I said, the role of director of ALCS does require a lot of commitment, expertise and energy, and the board are very much, they've exemplified that through what they do. And I'd like to thank the directors for their dedication throughout the year. As you've heard today, it's been a very busy and successful year, and none of it would have been achieved without, guess who, the ALCS staff. The enthusiasm and commitment of each member of staff is what makes ALCS work so well. And so on behalf of all our members, I would like to thank all the staff at ALCS, a huge, and if you could give them a big round of applause, I think they'd be really happy. So thank you very much indeed to all the staff, and thank you for your commitment and joining us in person today. And the best words of the day, I'd like to invite you to join us for lunch.
Just before you go, could I just say to our members here, thank you very much to Tim. You can see what a great chair he is. He's helping writers in his parliamentary role as well. He's done a great job for ALCS. And if I could ask for a round of applause for Tim, I think he's done his job.
Thank you, Barbara. That was very unexpected. Thank you.
Script, but hey. Thank you.